If I don't get one of my fighters to the UFC within 3 years, then I quit as a coach. What does it really take to become a world-class MMA coach? I've been lucky enough over the past 10 years to work alongside some of the best in the business, and I believe I've refined it down to 8 fundamental traits. Today I'm going to reveal them one by one, and I'm also going to audit myself in each category. So what's this date all about then? 13th of July 2028. It's exactly 3 years from now. I teased in my last video that I've got a very important decision to make about my personal future within this sport, and this is it. 3 years from now, I've set a deadline for myself. It's for me. It's not for my fighters. It's for me personally. And this is it. If I don't get one of my fighters to the UFC within 3 years, then I quit as a coach. I'm actually dead serious about this as a deadline. And I picked 3 years because I believe that's a reasonable amount of time based on where our team is right now and based on where I am within my career. I'm not interested in just making up the numbers in this game, and I'm not interested in being a forever bridesmaid. If I can't get some of my students to the UFC within that time period, then I want to know. I want to know that my best is not good enough, and I want to be able to make the call while I'm still young enough to go and do something else with the rest of my life. If you are a coach yourself and you want to learn how to become the best in the business, well then join in this exercise with me. There's a link in the description below where you can download this assessment for yourself. And together we can figure out if we've got the juice that's worth the squeeze. Right, let's crack on. Trait number 1. Technical and tactical mastery. Now, I don't believe anybody is going to argue that this is like a non-negotiable. I'm talking about technical ability or technical knowledge within grappling, striking and wrestling. Not one of them, not one trick ponies. You need to be fluent in all aspects of this game in order to coach it first, in order to know how to corner it, and also the tactics of how to apply that deep learning in order to game plan against various different types of opponents with various different types of your own fighters to be able to translate into winning results. Non-negotiable number 1. I reckon if I was going to score myself out of this, I'm pretty confident on this. I would have said maybe 5 years ago 4 out of 10 because I was pretty raw back then. But the last few years, a lot of IMAF tournaments, a lot of pro fighters. I've just cornered thousands of fights. So I'm getting more confident as I go along. I'm going to give myself an 8 out of 10 here. So I would be pretty confident that if you drop me into the UFC right now, I wouldn't feel any imposter syndrome. I'd be happy out cornering in the UFC right now based on this one alone. And 8 out of 10 still leaves room for a bit of improvement. So number 2, systems and structures. Now this is everything from the ground up. This is how you teach your classes. This is how you organize your timetable of your academy. This is how you train in your coaches. This is how you plan out a calendar over the year. This is everything to do with taking the information that's in your head and translating it to your students, your coaches, your colleagues, everything, so that everything moves like a well-oiled machine. You can't reinvent the wheel every time one new student shows up. You have a promising young athlete that you think can make the UFC, you drop everything else and you just focus everything you have on that one. That's not a thing, right? You've got to have systems in place so that you can feed waves of students in and they all graduate and progress all the ways along. And after a number of years, the ones that have been around that long will be at the level where you can then make a push for the top. And that's just, it just is what it is. Every great coach out there has systems in place, and you need to have that too. So how would I rate myself here? Well, we're lucky that we're part of the SBG network, so we inherited an awful lot of really great systems just as we joined the team. And then I come from an engineering background as well, so my brain works in systems, so I'm comfortable here. I still think we've a bit to go. There's a few systems that I need to tweak, a couple of things that I need to improve on over the next few years, but I'm going to give myself a 7 here. Number 3, emotional intelligence and communication. You're coaching a team. It's an individual sport, and when the cage door closes, there's obviously one fighter in the cage. But throughout an entire career and development pathway, it's a team. And as a coach, you have to manage that team. You have to manage different personalities, athletes that will get along with each other. Some don't get along with each other. Some have personality quirks that you have to manage. Some people are very, very naturally motivated. Some people need a push. Some people are very arrogant and pig-headed. They need to be brought back down. Emotional intelligence is that ability to manage personalities, both your own and the people around you. And you can become a catalyst for the type of environment that's conducive to producing athletes. EQ as opposed to IQ. And in that is the communication skills to be able to have those conversations. If you've got a fighter that's down, maybe they're lacking in confidence, they've had a run of bad luck, or they're injured or something like that, you have to have the conversation to be able to pick them back up. Or if you have somebody that's misbehaving or not training hard enough or whatever that is, okay? Somebody that you need to have a tough conversation to bring them back down. EQ and communication across the board, it's absolutely essential. And some of the top coaches in the world do this effortlessly. How would I rate myself here? I need work here. I believe that I need to be tougher on some of my athletes, and this is something that I'm working on continuously. I would say maybe I'm going to go with a 5.5 here. A lot of work to do. I'm okay on the communication part, but the emotional intelligence part I can do with a bit more work on. Fourth up, leadership and culture shaping. Now, every group has a culture. Sometimes it's there by accident, and most of the time it's because of a leader. And as the coach, you are that leader. Now, there are multiple successful MMA teams out there, and all of them have slightly different cultures. You take, for example, Team Alpha Male out in California. Uriah Faber as the coach out there, and some of the other coaches. What's the culture there? It's very much a kind of like a kind of an athletic jock type, compete hard, kind of loud, rowdy, a lot of trash talking, some egos in there. It's fun, right? It's like they're a fun group of guys, but they're all kind of like that, the high school wrestling type environment that's their culture, right? Then you contrast that with something like the New Wave Academy under John Danaher. It's almost like a traditional martial arts dojo. They don't play music while they're training. They all use fancy terminology. They're very precise with their words. They're very stoic in their in how they carry themselves. No, Gordon Ryan's a bit of a dick, but on a whole, they're almost like monks. So it's a very, very different vibe, you know. Like look at Matt Sarah Longo gym. That's very much like a mafia family. Those guys, if you get stuck in one of them, you're getting stuck in the whole lot of them. One more example: the Diaz brothers and the Cesar Gracie Academy. Us against the world. Everybody is against us. Everybody's stealing our money. We're fighting with the world. That's a culture, and that works for them. And every one of those cultures works for the athletes within that team. If you're the type of coach that has a very kind of like a family feel, a very kind of nurturing, caring, supportive feel, then you'll attract fighters that will thrive in that environment. On the other hand, if you want to be like the Lions Den under Ken Shamrock, and you just want to beat the snot out of everyone that comes in the door on day one just to see if they have the guts to stay for day two, well then you'll attract a different type of fighter that way. I'm happy with our culture. I'm happy how we shape it. I'm going to give us a 8.5 out of 10 here. Let's move on to the third section, all based on athlete-centered outcomes. Number 5, science-based athlete development. Now, it's all well and good you producing students who can fight, who know martial arts, who know jiu-jitsu, wrestling, striking. They've got a good attitude because of the culture that you've created. But to produce UFC champions, you need to produce like the best athletes. And the world of sports science, you need to lean on that. Okay, so there's a whole toolbox that you need to become very, very familiar with. I'm talking sports nutrition, I'm talking psychology, I'm talking strength and conditioning, I'm talking sleep hygiene. As an MMA coach, you don't have to be the expert on these individual things, but you have to produce an environment where your athletes have access to these things and that you encourage them to avail of the science that's out there. Other athletes are doing it. And if you don't give your athletes the same opportunities or push them in that direction, well then they're going to a gunfight with a knife in their pocket. And now, where are we at with this? We're pretty good. We're okay. We could be better. And I've actually got some stuff coming up in future videos about how I'm pushing myself further in this direction also. So I'm going to say a 6 out of 10 here. We do pretty good, but we could do better. Okay, number 6. We're getting there. Career politics, industry IQ, relationships. Now this is a dirty word or a dirty phrase, sort of dirty sentence for most coaches. They're not interested in dealing with politics at all, and I get it. It's tough, and it's not what we're in this sport for. We're all martial artists. We just want to train. We want to learn technique and get to see who the best fighters are. But as a coach of athletes that are looking to get to the UFC or any other major worldwide promotion, you must get involved in politics and get good at it. And when I'm talking about career politics, I'm talking about dealing with promoters. I'm talking about being able to have links and contacts with different matchmakers in different organizations. Industry IQ. You need to be able to know the pathways from amateur through IMAF level, through local, regional shows, pro debuts, going from pro debuts onto maybe a first multi-fight deal, and then how do we get all the way to the top? You can't leave that to chance. This is not like, I just fight, you just tell me who I fight and I just fight. That's bullshit. You have to plan your destiny, and you have to know where you're going. You have to have a map for where you're going. You don't just wait for the wind to blow you there. That's silly, right? Relationships is all about managing those relationships. It's not only do you need to know who these people are, but those people need to get along with you, respect you, trust you, and it's that trust and that reputation that you build as a coach that gives your athletes the types of opportunities that they might not otherwise have. How would I rate myself here? I'm getting better at it. This is not a world that I'm at all natural in. This is something I've had to work on. But I've recognized it as an important trait, and I am developing it. I would say 6.5. Final section, coach longevity and evolution. And this is all, as it says, about the coach and you being able to have a long career that's fulfilling, so that you can be there for your athletes. We start off with the first, number 7. Oh my God. Sustainability and self-regulation. This is all about looking after yourself as a person. I'm talking about mental health. I'm talking about physical health. I'm talking about sleep hygiene. I'm talking about making sure that you just don't burn out, because coaching is 24/7. It's not only are you coaching classes, but you're also managing careers. You've got dozens of students who have life's problems, and they look up to you for advice. They look to you for mentorship. Everybody is relying on you 24/7. And if you don't have breaks and emotional recharge time, or you don't physically look after your own health, make sure you continuously train yourself, stay fit, stay active. Don't sacrifice yourself for the sake of everybody else, right? So this is super important, okay? Self-regulation is more to do with the mental health aspects of things and making sure that you just don't burn out. Hugely important. If you're not there for your students, well, then how are you going to get them to the UFC? So this one I've struggled with a lot over the last number of years. I would say this is a work in progress. I'm going to give myself a 5 out of 10 here, and I'm going to continue to develop this. There's going to be a lot of videos on this actually. Last but not least, number 8 is learning agility and self-auditing. You can never stop learning as a coach. The day you stop learning is the day you start going backwards. This game is evolving double quick time. Remember back in the day when there was no such thing as a calf kick? Now everybody's doing them. You're talking about the evolution of the leg lock game over the last 6 years. We're seeing different phases of techniques come in and out of vogue, and you have groups of athletes who excel in one new skill, and then the rest of the country or the rest of the world has to catch up almost. And we see this time in, time out. And if you're the kind of coach that sits on your laurels and doesn't want to learn anything more than what you already know, you're going to get left behind. Self-auditing is the ability to be able to assess honestly and objectively where you currently are and where you need to go, which is exactly what we're doing right now. So let's give ourselves a pat in the back for that. Okay, where do I put myself here? I'm pretty proud that I'm willing to learn all the time. I do enjoy learning, and look, we're self-auditing, so I think we're pretty good here. I'm going to give myself an 8 out of 10 for this one. So I've totted up my scores. I've got 54.5 out of 80, which is 68%, giving me a C+. Now, that's not massively scientific. It's self-reported and it's a bit wishy-washy, but it's an indicator. Am I happy with C+? No. But then again, if I was already A+, I'd already have fighters in the UFC. So I need to take motivation from the gap between C+ and A+ and go about my business from here on in. I'm interested to see how you guys got on. Drop in the comments below. Did you take the assessment? What did you score? Did any of the traits take you by surprise? Did I miss out on any important traits? I want to hear your input on this. I said last week that we were doing 50 videos, 1 per week for the whole year. So that's 50 rounds, 1 round at a time. This has been number 2. Make sure you subscribe to see the next one.